Hey guys, just chilling in my backyard here and just wanted to talk a little bit Canadian politics. So we had an election last night and a Canadian election for the leadership of the country. And to be honest, I lost my vote because I lost, my election because I voted Conservative and we didn't win. So that's a bummer. But you know what? I'm not sad about it. I'm not sad about it. Everything happens for a reason in the world. So, and Mark Carney won, and I applaud him. I respect, the vote of Canadian, and I respect the fact that Mark Carney is now our new Prime Minister. I just want to say congratulations. You deserve it, and you also deserve all the benefits that comes with it. So, the plane, the everything else. And I sincerely hope that you make the most of it. Make the most of being Prime Minister, and you have my full blessing if you want to suck Canada dry and, pull out as much money from this country as possible. You have my blessing. Because honestly, we deserve it. We deserve the fact that we elected somebody that is going to be there for themselves, and there's nothing we can do about it. So there was something we could do about it, but to be honest, it didn't work out. I think Pierre Poilievre is partially to blame. Another part of it is Canada, and a small part, not a big part in my opinion, is Donald Trump. A small part, like 5-10%. So a small part might be Donald Trump, but who knows? Just want to share a quick story. When I was in a public transit bus, when I was younger, there was a baby crying, and I just had a silver chain in my neck, so I just undid my silver chain and just twirl it in the sun, and it just with the reflection, it just made it shiny and twirly, and the baby let the toddler that was crying just stop crying. And just it was concentrated, and he was stopping raging or whatever he was doing. He was just concentrating and fixed on my chain. And the mom smiled at me. And when I went off the bus, she's like, "No, don't leave me with him." It's hey, sorry, but I did what I had to do for my sanity. But now it's up to you. So maybe you should get a silver chain and just twirl it around to distract the baby. But that's kind of what happened with Trump. We had somebody come in, and instead of being shiny and silvery, it's orangey. So, because I don't know where that got going with the orange man and stuff like that. So, I don't know, maybe because his hat is orange, maybe because he has a tan. But, when you live in Florida, you're bound to get a tan, So, especially when you get older, the tan is just part of your body at that point. But I wish I was in Florida right now. Oh man, the warm, the heat, the beaches. I wish I was there. But yeah, that's another story for another day. So, but yeah, so we kind of deserve it. So I think Pierre Poilievre has a part to blame in there. So because he didn't pivot quickly enough, he didn't, what I would have done in his position when Mark Carney got into office. And when reporter started to ask me, instead of getting on Trump and do this, Trump will never, I would have said what Trump and what tariffs, and reporters would have scratched their head, and it's well, the tariff that Trump imposed on Canada, what tariffs? And it's oh, sorry, in my mind, we had 10 years of conservative government, and we never had any tariffs because we would have protected the border. We would have had a strong economy, would have had a great relationship with the US. And, Trump would have arrived there, and I think we might have been one of the only country that would be exempt from tariffs. So in a sense, we kind of put ourselves in a situation when Trump almost had no choice to put tariffs on us because of, the borders and everything else that happened with Canada and the mass immigration, and it's just, and the amount of terror lords that were crossing back towards the US from Canada, and the fentanyl and the shipping containers that are not scanned and everything else. Anyways, maybe, having a conservative government wouldn't have fixed the problem entirely, but at least we wouldn't have double house prices. We wouldn't have our economy in shambles. We wouldn't be paying, you know, $9 for 2 liters jug of milk or something, or two liters of milk, carton of milk. But yeah, so yeah, our country is in deep shit. And if I'm Trump, I'm seeing this. I'm seeing like, man, maybe the 51st state thing is going to happen. Although I wouldn't advise Trump to just go 51st state for all of Canada, because most Canadians that are voting Liberal, which apparently now it's half the country, is, you know, Californians, how they are, Democrats mostly. And, you know, try if there was like a Hulk-sized Democrat people, you know, population, like Hulk smash type Democrats. Like, this is Canada. Canada is on the extreme end of the Democrats, liberals, like socialist, communist based, you know, population. And you don't want all of Canada. You want the conservative people to be more, you know, the ones that you want, and leave the, you know, in an ideal world, we could separate Canada and the US into two entities, either straight down the middle or just Canada and the US. And you just take every Democrat, you put it on one side, which is preferably Canada because it's warmer down south and I like the warm, but you still have a little bit of the cold in Montana and Colorado and stuff like that. So, but you know, if you can put the same type of people together, the same type of population, then you wouldn't have any issues. All the conservative, the Republicans on one side, and all the Republican and the Democrats and the liberal on one side, and then you have two countries, and you see which one is going to be happier, which one is going to run their country better, which one is going to be more prosperous. That would be one hell of a social experiment. That would be like next level. And you know, it's just a shame that we can't do that. We can't ship like half the population of the country in one place and just put the other half in the other place, and just like, I don't know. That would be interesting to see though. But, you know, are we going to live in some point in the world where everybody can at least get along and to some degree, and just be able to say like, all right, you voted for that person, I respect your choice, and, you know, let's leave it at that. Let's keep our friendship. But right now, you know, you're a Democrat, you're a Republican, you're a liberal, you're a conservative, and, you know, these two people don't match up even in the same family. Like, the families are breaking apart because they vote in different ways, and it's just crazy that it went there. I don't know how people, especially in Canada, get so divided. What did happen for the last 10 years? I don't know. Something happened in the last 10 years that, you know, just drive that wedge even further apart. I don't know what happened in the last 10 years that made people, especially in Canada, like as divided, as more divided than it ever was. I don't know. Hopefully you guys don't get too much wind noise, but I wanted to film outside because it's a beautiful day, and the sun and the lighting would have been good too. So hopefully the mic is doing a pretty good job. So, but yeah, so that's Canada right now, and I don't see good things happening in the future for Canada. I see this country being fractured in a way that won't be able to get repaired. And it's going to be interesting because this is going to be, we just witnessed a part of history that, you know, is potentially going to break Canada as a nation and break Canada as a country, where it won't even be recognizable anymore. So it's very interesting times we live in. So if you're a historian, you're going to see this in time and say like, this was the pivotal moment. And I wonder how people felt at that time. You know, it would be interesting to put ourselves in their shoes and seeing what kind of, you know, emotion they had, what kind of, you know, train of thoughts and stuff like that. It's just interesting times. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this little video. You're going to see me more in the future. I'm gonna talk about how beneficial it would be for Canada to, well, parts of Canada to be the 51st state. And I might even give Trump some pointers if he wants to, have some parts of Canada to grow the US into the biggest landmass country in the world and have access to mineral resources and everything, and just make the country, the USA, better. Because as a country, as a people, you want to make your country better. Right now, the way we voted, I don't think we're going to make it better. It's going to be better for some people, but not others. It's not going to beneficiate the country as a whole. And if the US can annex some part of Canada and just integrate them in the US and make their country better, you can't blame him for that. You can't blame Trump. You can't blame the US people for wanting an even better country, bigger country, more prosperous country. You can't. We could have that. We could do that. But I think we chose to go in another direction. We chose socialism. We chose to go in a direction where we might have cricket burgers at some point, because it's going to be less expensive with cricket meat than actual meat. So I don't know. It's interesting times. So hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. And look forward in the future of me maybe trying to interview Rick Perkins, that is the conservative that lost in Nova Scotia, which was a massive upset because there wasn't any liberal lawn signs anywhere, and it was just like, I wanna interview him and kind of get his thoughts on what happens, and maybe try to, if you see anybody that's living in the US, I want to interview Canadians. Even if it's through FaceTime, I want to interview Canadians to see how they transition to become a US citizen, and what are their thoughts, what are the pros and cons of living in the US versus Canada, and if they would ever go back to Canada. So, and not just gun people, because that's a definite, I'm not going back to Canada. So, but just even like liberals that just didn't like the state of the country, or Democrats, or just that moved to the US, and I want to get their thoughts on why they moved there and if it's better or not. So all right, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Catch you guys on the next one.